examples. So I was born Nancy Brown, which is why I use John Brown as an example. I have a bunch of those. But what's unique about me? Well, the first name's not bad. Last name's terrible for identification. But I was born in Windsor, so that's unique, sort of. But I was a pharmacist, so that's important information about somebody. Perhaps I was district commissioner in scouting. That's a unique marker. So when you're searching for somebody, you want to be able to pick out the unique things that make them that particular person. So you want to keep and collect all the identifiers that you can find for a person. It helps you when you search. So there I've gone back to the 8 great-grandparents. But it doesn't have to stop there. There's a square on the right-hand side. I can put chart number 2 in that square. That person is now number 1 on another piece of paper, and you can go on and have stacks like this. Oops. Excuse me. Just lost it. Family group shoot, this comes down the other way. So you have mom and dad and all the kids. So this page is mom and dad and their information. Then we got a second page with all the kids. And a third page with where you found out the information. And I'd like to mention that any information you're given, make sure you write on that information who gave it to you, or where you found it, or what it was called, or what book it was in, or what archive it was in, so you can find it again later when you forget why you have that piece of paper. Or when you forget, where did I find that? I've got another piece of information that doesn't match. Who's right? Who's the more valuable or more reliable source? Sometimes you have to weigh things and say, well, I think that's hearsay, and I think this one was someone who was right there at the time, so I'll take their word for it. And you should set up some way of keeping track of things. You'll be able to keep track of your people in your computer program, but what about all the certificates and pieces of paper? You'll want to either put them in a binder or put them in file folders. It's really important. If you don't start that right at the beginning, you'll get swamped. Oops, I just told you all that. So I'm going to pick one ancestor. I'm going to look for someone who has some missing information or incomplete information, or someone who's got conflicting information. So I need to pick one person. So for instance there, William Brown, I don't have his birth date. And that's my question. What was his date of birth? These are very common records that genealogists use. Vital statistics, census records, cemetery transcriptions, published family histories, church records, wills and probates, land records, military records, and there's some good sources on the internet for that, and immigration records. There are many different places you can find these: archives and libraries, museums, government offices. I just want to touch on the family history centers for a minute. It says LDS after it. That stands for Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormons. Their religious belief is very firm in the family, firmly rooted in the family unit. To them, family is the most important thing. They research their ancestors so they can baptize them into the Mormon faith and seal them to the family in heaven for eternity. But the reason why they do it is not that important, because for genealogists, they're a boon. They have been around the world for the last 70 years, microfilming records wherever they could get permission. You don't have to go to record offices in Wiltshire, England, because they've got the microfilm from the records. And you can order it out from Salt Lake City to the local Mormon Family History Center, which is 2 little rooms in their church at Rosslyn and Thornton. So if you can't find it on the internet, and I'll tell you right now, the internet has probably 2% of the world records online, in spite of what Ancestry.ca says. Okay? And this would be how you would access a lot more records. If they don't have it, then you do have to go to the record office or the church or something, or hire someone to do it for you. And online, there's places to go to online. Librarians can really help you find out where to look for things. So are archivists. The best libraries in Durham Region, particularly for Durham Region families, Whitby, Oshawa, and Uxbridge. Huge genealogy collections. Whitby is where the Durham Region branch holds their library. But the Whitby Library themselves have supplemented and augmented our collection with further books and recordings that they have purchased. The Ontario Archives is also a key place to go and research, especially for land records and wills, probate, and a whole bunch of wild and wonderful tiny little databases from government sources since the beginning of the Loyalists coming in. And there are little museums and archives in Oshawa and Whitby and Clarington that you can go and see what they have. And the historical societies are really great for context, perhaps tell you something about the land or the house, or even the history of the area, why someone came. Why did the Scots come into Brock Township? Why did the Bible Christians come into Clarington? Why did the Quakers come into Uxbridge? What brought them here? What drove them away from where they were? So you need history to help you understand your family story. And of course, local genealogy branches. Now here's some of the big sites on the internet. Ancestry.ca, but it costs a lot of money. The library has Ancestry Library Edition for you for free on their computers. So go there first. Don't spend $400 for a year's subscription at Ancestry. FamilySearch.org is the Mormons, and it's totally free. They have a wonderful site. Library and Archives Canada has a wonderful site as well, and all of these sites are on the handout. They're particularly good for military records. So if you had a father, a grandfather, a great-grandfather in World War I, they are digitizing and putting the service files up on their website for free. Now they haven't quite made it to W for Wilkins, which is my grandfather. But they're doing it alphabetically, so I have a while to wait. But I know for a fact that they've done up to at least a last name starting with D. It will take a while. Before they put the whole service file on, though, what is up there right now is it was called an attestation paper. It was their sign-up papers. They're all on the website right now, right up to Z. So you can at least see the sign-up papers and see your ancestor's signature. It is so neat. My grandfather, there's a remarks column. It tells you how tall he is and what color his eyes were. Bite scars from a dog attack on left calf. My mother said, he didn't have that, did he? She never even noticed. Oh, missed one, sorry. Can you put me back one slide? Okay, there's one more place I want to tell you about, and it's wonderful because it's the locator for just about everything on the internet. It's called Cyndi's List. There's one lady who maintains this. I don't even know how many links are on there, 600,000 or something. She takes any website someone sends to them. She goes through that website and categorizes all the parts of that website. So you can go up there, you can look for Acadian, you can look for Quaker, you can look for Ontario, Florida, England, France, Ireland, what you can find in Ireland. Darn those Irish for blowing up their records office in 1922. And I'm 50% Irish. I've done my DNA. But she has an incredible, done an incredible job in categorizing any genealogy link she can find. So she's really quite a go-to site. So a quick look at Ancestry here. I don't know if you can really make out the details, but I've done a drop-down list from the word search across the top. And I've got an arrow pointing to birth, marriage, and death. So you can go in and search it. And there's the ability to search right on the main page, but I don't recommend that. So here's a tip on searching genealogy websites. Don't start with a generic generic search on the front page. You'll probably put in too much information and you won't find anything. You know, you might put in where the person was born, but the record doesn't say anything about where they're born, so it kicks that record out and you don't see it.